So you know Dangote, and you've probably heard of Otedola, and you've probably seen Tony Elumelu give TED Talks. But there's one Nigerian billionaire who stays out of the spotlight. No Instagram, no flashy interviews, no Netflix documentary. Yet he owns a telecom empire, oil blocks, and even bank. His name? Mike Adenuga. The man who moves like a ghost and spends like a king. This is the story of Nigeria's most mysterious billionaire, the one who you never see, but his money is everywhere. You see, in a country where the rich love noise, from Instagram flexing to political handshake, Mike Adenuga is quietly loud. No social media, no TV interviews, yet he's Nigeria's second richest man, worth over $6.7 billion and owns the second largest telecoms company in the whole of the country, Globacom. Let that sink in. I mean, you might be watching this video using Blue Network, yet the man who owns it has never posted a single self. Mike Adenuga is what you call low-key heavy. I mean, the man drives a Bentley, owns jets, controls oil blocks, but he would literally walk past you and you wouldn't even recognize him. While other billionaires were doing press tours, Mike was doing business. And not just any business, oil, telecom, banking, construction. So, let's go back to where it all began. You see, Mike Adenuga wasn't born with a silver spoon. In fact, if there was any spoon, it was probably plastic. I mean, this is a folk boss. You understand what I mean? He was born in 1953 in Ibadan. His father was a school teacher and his mother, a trader. The kind that sold everything and anything, from tomatoes to fabric, I mean, everything. That woman hustled like he had 6 jobs. Adenuga would later say she was his first business mentor. As a young man, you see, Mike didn't wait around. In his 20s, he was selling soft drinks and lace materials. He was one of those guys that was like a plug that sells everything from phones to sneakers. But of course, that wasn't enough for him to become a multi-billionaire. You see, Adenuga knew school was important, and that was why he traveled abroad to study. First at Northwestern Oklahoma University and at Pace University, New York. And before you hit me raw, yes, he wasn't born with a silver spoon, but his parents were comfortable, and he also had to work as a taxi driver and security guard to pay his way through college. And let me say that again. The man that would later go on to become an oil mogul was once driving taxis and guarding buildings. Be like an Hollywood movie. He eventually returned to Nigeria in the 70s, and here's where things begin to get interesting. You see, Adenuga didn't just come back with a degree, he came back with an ambition. And within a few years, he was already securing major construction contracts and importation licenses through a well-connected network. This guy didn't just play small. He had the boldness of a man who once drove taxis in New York and survived. So let's rewind to the early 90s. I mean, Nigeria was still dancing shaku-shaku with military rule. And oil sector, forget about it. It was like an exclusive VIP club, and if your name wasn't Shell, Chevron, or Total, the bouncers aren't letting you any clues. But one man somehow slipped past the bouncers, Mike Adenuga. At this point, he was already wealthy from constructions and other endeavors, but you see, oil was a different ball game. It was the billionaires club. In 1990, General Ibrahim Babangida's government introduced something unheard of. They would be offering oil prospecting licenses to ordinary Nigerians. You didn't need to be Shell, you didn't need to wear a tie, you just had to apply. You see, most rich men were scared because oil business is not pure water. It's billions in without guarantee with see one drop of need. But you see, Mike, he applied boldly, secretly, and quietly. Like a man who knew something that the others didn't. And somehow he got OPL 209, an offshore oil block in deep blue seas of the Niger Delta. At this point, most people clapped politely. Okay, well done, Mr. Adenuga. Well done. But behind closed doors, the elites laughed. I mean, what does this Baba seller know about oil? He would drill for years and only find fish. But Mike didn't come to find fish. In 1991, boom. Oil, sweet oil. I'm talking commercial grade crude oil. You see, let me say that again. This man applied for an oil block in 1990, and in 1991, he struck commercial grade crude oil. In a country where many oil blocks have stayed dry for decades, this guy struck oil in just one try. And just like that, he became the first Nigerian to discover oil in commercial quantity. Not through Shell, not through international partners, just him, consolidated oil. From that point, Mike Adenuga was no longer rich, he was dangerous. But now he had not just money, but power. And when you have oil money in Nigeria, you don't beg to enter rooms. The rooms come to you. But here's the mad part. He didn't just stop there. For most people, an oil block would be the biggest flex, the biggest and final flex. But Mike Adenuga looked at it as a side quest. Cool, I have oil. Now it's time to fight the telecom giants. After striking oil and stacking billions, you think Mike Adenuga would just travel to a private island and sip coconut juice to the end of time? But no, this man wanted more. Entered the Nigerian telecom scene in the 2000s, MTN was key. Lines were expensive, call rates were criminal, and SIM cards selling for 20 to 30,000 naira. I guess they thought it was mini gold. If you were not born rich, just forget about having a phone. But Mike stepped into that ring quietly and methodically. In 2003, he launched Globacom, aka Glo, a fully Nigerian-owned telecom company and the first to bring per second billing. Let me explain this madness. Back then, other networks charge you per minute. So even if your call lasted for 3 seconds, they charge you for the whole minute. Glo came in and said, why should Nigerians pay for what they didn't use? That one move shook the industry. MTN was scrambling. Econet, now called Airtel, was sweating. But Nigerians were rejoicing. Like, bro, Glo made SIM cards affordable and slashed call rates. I mean, they treated the average Nigerian like royalty. Suddenly, even your grandma in the village had a phone. But it wasn't just marketing. Mike invested. He didn't just borrow networks, he laid submarine cables.
Glo One submarine cable has arrived and linked in seamlessly with our 10,000 kilometers of fiber optic network. Now is the time when we can provide our country with clearer lines as well as high quality internet bandwidth to any global destination at really affordable prices. I promise you, no one else can do this.
Connecting Nigeria directly to the global internet backbone. While others were running ads, Glo was building infrastructure. While other companies were outsourcing, Mike was hiring Nigerians. Mike had done it again, taking an industry and flipping the script. And he did all this without even wanting the fame. No flashy interviews, no award shows, no political campaigns, just results. I mean, no be cho. You see, by this time, the average Nigerian still even know what Mike Adenuga looks like. But somehow, he had touched every single part of their life. While other moguls were busy branding themselves, Mike Adenuga was building legacies. I mean, he once said, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. Word. Conoil supplies fuel thousands. Glo connects millions. CWC Group is building towers in cities we haven't even visited yet. But here is the kicker. He's still not satisfied. You see, Adenuga is still busy hiring, investing, and expanding. He's been quietly funding Nigeria's arts, media, sports, and scholarships for decades. And while others chase headlines, he chases results. No personal Instagram, no podcast appearances, no flashy YouTube home tour. Yet, Forbes lists him as the second richest man in the whole of Nigeria. And he didn't do all this with noise, he did it with vision, systems, and silence. But maybe that's the lesson. In a world where everybody is screaming to be seen, Mike Adenuga chose to be felt. He became the billionaire you never see on TV, but the one who owns the cable you use, the tower you call from, and the petrol in your generator. The man who turned being underrated into his greatest power. If you love this story, share your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.